luckily New Bern Police Department had everything under control. A large alligator out in the middle of Neuse Road, and the police had both sides of the road basically off, so vehicle traffic couldn't pass through, and they were just essentially babysitting the alligator until wildlife could show up. And once we showed up, myself and Wildlife Officer Andre Jones, we were able to get a snare around the animal, get it out of the road so that we could open up traffic, and just got the animal calmed down. And then I had to run and get a transport tube large enough for the animal, and so New Bern PD sort of just kept it calm and over here in the grass so I could go get the transport tube. And we're gonna give this animal a second chance, and hopefully at the release site, it did have some injuries from being in the roadway. I looked the animal over really good. I didn't see any significant injuries. Hopefully this animal will continue to live. The size of this animal, I would not be surprised if this alligator is over 40 years old. It was a very large animal, and they grow very slowly in our area, so I really hope it has a second chance.
So it's up here in kind of a residential area. Why do you think it was on the move here tonight?
For several reasons. I mean, anywhere in eastern North Carolina, there could be an alligator, especially this time of the year. April, May, and June is alligator mating season. So they're moving around the landscape a lot this time of year. Most of the year they live very solitary lives, and so this time of year, this was a large male alligator, so it was just on the move in search of a mate this time of year. And with Martin Marietta right behind us, Neuse River, just beyond that, this is all alligator habitat. If this animal is in fact 40 years old or older, think of the development that this animal has seen in the Neuse River drainage in the last 3 to 4 decades. And so
this always creates a big buzz anytime people see an alligator, especially in a residential area. What do you tell people if they see something like this where it's kind of a little bit out of its habitat?
Yeah, no, definitely. Unfortunately, a lot of times where these animals are seen, it used to be their habitat, and now there's residential areas. Most of our residential areas have stormwater retention ponds built to manage runoff and things like that. And so those ponds, quickly get turtles and fish and birds, and can become, small little areas that alligators may use as a stopping off point as they're moving around the landscape. But most important thing is, look, these animals are on the landscape. They've been here for millions of years. If you see one, don't feed it, don't approach it. That's the important thing that we want to do. Is we have a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week emergency number. You can call that number and get a response from my agency. The only time somebody would get hurt by one of these animals is if they're messing with it, trying to feed it, things like that, trying to get too close to it. So I regularly work with these animals, and often they're very hard to catch because they're extremely shy animals if they're not being fed by people. But it is important to know these are federally protected species. It's against the law to feed them, harm them, or harass them. So just give them a little bit of space. It's Memorial Day weekend has passed. A lot of people are going to be on the water and boats out having fun. If you happen to be lucky enough to see one out in the river, give it some space and just let it go on about its business.
You said you were out spotting tonight. Are we seeing the population increase a lot more now?
I wouldn't say that we're seeing the population increase. We started doing nighttime alligator spotlight surveys roughly on 20 to 25 creeks and rivers along our coast 3 or 4 years ago. And what we're hoping to do is, 10, 15, 20 years of data, we can start to build an index of where we're seeing alligators, what size classes we're seeing them, to give us an index of what the population is doing. Is it increasing? Is it decreasing? Is it about the same as when we started doing these nighttime spotlight surveys? A lot of people do tell me, what's going on? Is the alligator population increasing? They got federal protection on the endangered species list in 1973 officially, and since then, they have slowly been building their populations back. But what we have seen in that same time period is the human population has exploded on our coast. The further south you go, Pender, New Hanover, Brunswick County, coastal development is really, really happening. And people want to live on the water or beside the water, and that's where these animals live. So I would say, human alligator interactions are increasing, but is that because human population's increasing or alligator population's increasing? So people often forget New Bern and Craven County has the Croatan National Forest, a lot of alligator habitat, a lot of black bear habitat. This area, we tend to have a pretty healthy population of both black bears and alligators. So if you're lucky enough to see one, just give it some space and just let it be.